Welcome.
Are you constipated?
Back to Tying That Guy. I'm Wes Chatham, and this lovely lady here is Franck. It's a special Valentine's Tying That Guy, even though it's not Valentine's Day, but it's close enough. And I wore my most romantic shirt because this is a double special occasion. Not one, but two specials in this one. Because I haven't seen my good buddy Ty in a long time. He's been working, and I've been working. And producer Joseph let us know that we're running out of inventory to get our asses to work. So we're here, and we're glad to be here. It feels good, don't it, Ty? Don't it feel good to be back?
It does, and I think we're so low on inventory, people are actually watching us record this in real time. This episode is dropping today as we record it.
As we record it. But apparently the triple felony one dropped today, the one that where I admitted to all these felonies. I need to not drink when I do podcasts because I admit to too much shit when I do it.
It's probably a good idea to have a don't admit to felonies on the podcast rule. Yeah.
Well, how you been, brother? You been good?
Yeah, I'm okay. We're my voice is cracking because I'm going through puberty, so that's
puberty,
nice.
Yeah. Did you get any pubes?
I'm getting hair in strange places.
Oh, that's great.
I'm starting to notice girls. Yeah, it's very exciting.
I'm sure your wife appreciates that.
Yeah. I mean, she's been living here for like 30 years. She's like, about time you finally realized.
What's out? You been working?
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
I know it's all top secret.
I'm doing the producer in development version of work, which is like you do a lot of stuff that you don't get to talk about and you don't actually get paid for yet.
Yeah,
it's that version. Yeah, it's less fun.
Yeah. We are on season 4, episode 8, and it was written and directed by who?
Well, this is another Dan Nowak joint, and the second episode by Sarah Harding, the lovely and talented Sarah Harding.
I love Sarah Harding, and she did such a great job with this episode.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
She actually did a really nice job for us when we were getting ready to shoot season 5. She was one of the names we were looking to see if we could get her back for season 5. Unfortunately, she's busy, so she didn't get to do any episodes in season 5, but we were definitely interested.
She's in demand.
She is in demand.
It's one of those things like when you work with somebody that's super talented, one of the struggles is then once that's over with, they got a ton of other things going on.
We actually in season 1. Was it season 1 or season 2? It was one of the very early seasons. We got one of the top female directors in Hollywood, like a feature director who directs almost exclusively features, was apparently a big fan of The Expanse and reached out to see if we were interested in hiring her maybe as an episode director. And Noreen and I actually went and met with her and had drinks with her and talked about, and she brought like a binder and she had all these like concept art drawings she had done. And we were signing the deal. We were like, okay, this person is like top talent. This is a big name. Let's get her signed. She doesn't care about the money. She just wants to do it. So the wheels were in motion. And then just as we're about to sign the deal, she had just finished shooting a movie. And the studio that she shot the movie for insisted that she do a media tour in Europe for this movie, and it knocked out some of the dates that we needed for her to do it. And it was such a bummer.
I have never heard this story.
Yeah, it was such a bummer.
It might have been probably before I was cast.
Yep.
Because again, going back to what we're saying, like all the talented guys that you want to play Amos were available, so then you have to go to the B team. But did this person direct Near Dark?
No, that would be amazing. If it was Catherine Bigelow,
okay.
I would have been like, let's change the dates that we shoot the show on. So we can get Catherine Bigelow. Like,
right.
Like that, you don't take an excuse for that.
Yeah.
But this was not Catherine Bigelow, but it was definitely somebody who's like close to that level.
Yeah.
I'm being careful not to say her name right now because I don't want to.
I've never heard this, and I can't wait to ask who it is after the show.
It was really cool to sit with her at this little bar, this rooftop bar in Hollywood, and like I'm like, wow, you're like one of the top names. I can't believe you've even heard of us. She's like, oh, I've heard of you. And she takes out this binder. She's got drawings.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she had drawings of shots she wanted to do, and like it was crazy how into the show she was. Yeah.
Was this season 1 or season? Like,
no, it wasn't. Before? It wasn't season 1. It was like season 2 or 3. I think it was probably 2 or 3. Yeah. It was when we were still over at Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I have a craft question for you that just kind of came up because I feel that there's such strong arc moments, particularly with Amos in this episode. And what's interesting, going back and watching this episode, watching the whole thing, there's so much conversation and work that we do internally, and so there's a lot that I understand from the point of view of playing Amos about Amos, but I forget about what the audience doesn't know. And so, are you doing jazz hands? So when I went back or seeing this episode and really seeing how big of an episode or how important this episode is in Amos's journey and in his arc. But one of the questions I have is when you are doing a structured series structure, like if you take a movie and you have a certain, you have the protagonist and you have the emotional change and what they learn and how they change at the end of the movie. How do you structure that with a series? Because, is there micro changes within each episode, and then you have the season arcs, and then you have the overarching series arcs where they fully, especially because I in particular, Alva Serrala has extremely powerful completion to her arc in season 6, and it was so well developed and so well earned. But how do you structure that? How do you look at that going forward?
So we have a tool that most TV shows don't have, in that we have a completed series of books. So everybody involved knows where the story is going and where the characters are going. So we don't have to worry about sort of like creating that on the fly. Mm-hmm. But honestly, that is probably the number one job in the writer's room that the showrunner does. The showrunner is the one that's mainly responsible for making sure that the episodes, the seasons, and the entire series all fall within the framework of those arcs that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And very often, people would deliver scripts or people would write outlines, and we'd be discussing them as a room. And Narain Shankar, our showrunner, would say, "I don't think this character is in this place yet. Like, I think you're jumping ahead of the story. I think they're going to get there, but they're not there yet. Mm-hmm. I think that's a revelation for a later episode." So that person, the showrunner, whoever that person is, really has to maintain a strong mental picture of who everybody is, where they're all going, and sort of dole that out across the episodes. That's part of why it's such an unusual person who can do that job well, because you really have to hold a lot in your head.
Because I went back and I've been reading the scripts for Breaking Bad, and I went back to season 1. I just wanted to see like how he changed and the gradual change. But if you think about episode 1, season 1 of Breaking Bad, where it starts out, you remember when he was masturbating in the bathroom and he couldn't, keep it up or couldn't, and there was somebody that was clearly missing respect or didn't really have he didn't have the respect of his peers, and this was somebody that was highly accomplished in his past. And then as the show progressed, he finds out that he's getting sick, and then he realizes that he's going to have to provide financially for the family, and he goes on that ride along with his brother, and he gets the idea, and then he's the one that kind of motivates. He runs into what's the co-star's name?
The one who plays Jesse.
Yeah.
Aaron Paul.
Jesse. Okay, so Aaron Paul. So so he in the ride along, he sees Aaron Paul fleeing a house. Aaron Paul was next door banging the neighbor, so he didn't get caught in that bus. But he sees him and he used to teach him, so he brings him on. And he's like, "Hey, listen, I know how to make this stuff. You do the crime side, and we will do this thing together. We'll make, he's thinking about providing, or at least we think at the time he's going to provide for his family and do this thing. All the way up till where they actually committed murder in this, when the drug dealers come and they lock him in, and he thinks fast and he calls a chemical reaction that turns into almost like cyanide, and it kills those guys. And you think the cops are coming after him. They don't. And then he goes home, and instead of being traumatized by that murder or rethinking what it was, he then comes back and he's like, and he has the best sex with his wife, kind of contrasting that beginning image where he couldn't masturbate to the point where she's like, oh my God, is that you? And so he feels this sense of power and agency and control over his life that's missing in the beginning. Yep. And so it has that, that arc going through. And then each one, you read each thing, and he does have a micro change in each episode. Then you go to the next episode where he has the guy in the basement, and he's battling if he's going to, kill the guy, not kill the guy, do the right thing. And he chooses to let the guy go. But then he realizes the guy kept a piece of the plate and was going to use it to stab him with it. So it was this whole thing. So he has another progression into that. And then, but the whole series arc, when you really see him at the end of the series arc, is that power and that is really the thing that was motivating him in the beginning. And at the end, I don't know, it's just so smart. So that was my question, because I went back and read those, and he has each episode has a slight change. He learns something. He's a little bit different, but then each season has an overall arc, and then the whole series has this complete arc.
Yep.
And so I didn't know, like, if you go into each episode and plan these micro changes.
No, I don't think you do. I mean, I think you don't get down to that micro level when you're designing an episode or a season. When we're breaking the episodes in the room, you don't really get down to that level of detail. But as I said, the showrunner's job is to make sure that the episode, season, and show arcs are all progressing along at the speed that they want them to. So all that fine-tuning detail, I mean, not taking anything away from all the great writers who worked on Breaking Bad, but give credit to Vince Gilligan for shepherding that. Vince Gilligan was clearly, carefully tuning that character development for the entire show. And, there's a reason why he's one of the top showrunners in TV, because he has that level of skill. So I don't watch a lot of Shonda Rhimes shows, but I know that Shonda Rhimes is incredibly popular, and some of her shows are some of the most successful shows on TV. But I just watched her documentary, not documentary, but her true life miniseries, Inventing Anna, which was on Netflix. It's like a 8-episode thing about this con woman. I thought it was beautifully crafted in that same kind of way. And watching that, I go, oh, this is why Shonda Rhimes is one of the top showrunners. Because, it's 8 episodes. They're written by different people. Shonda Rhimes didn't write them all, but Shonda Rhimes is credited as the showrunner of it. And I can see why she's one of the top showrunners now, because that is a beautifully crafted 8-episode story. Yeah. So
is that the one with the girl from Ozarks?
I don't know. It's the one. I don't know if she's from Ozarks or not, but it's the one with about the New York socialite who turned out to be completely full of crap and was just conning people for years.
Yes, it is the girl from Ozarks.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've been wanting to see that. Okay, so it's the aftermath of the Pazuzu raid.
Yep.
Am I misreading that? I have a little bit of an issue with McCourt's resignation, right?
Yep.
Because so it turned out to be a disaster, right? And so he had issues with her order and putting Martian Marines in danger, and so now he's going to give his resignation.
No, what becomes clear to him afterwards that was not clear to him at the beginning. The sort of calculated and cold-blooded political nature of the move is what McCourt becomes aware of after the fact. That he decides that she did this, that she risked these people strictly for some gains in her political campaign. That those people died so that she could pick up a few percentage points on her opponent. And it is the cold-blooded nature of that. He decides he can't support that.
Well, hold on a second. I mean, two things can be true at once. there was a political motivation behind it, but wasn't she going in to capture Marco? And I mean, he's definitely a threat to Earth, and he's definitely somebody that's definitely a part of her responsibility and what needs to be done.
Right. But they had two options. One of which would not have risked any of the Earth soldiers, and the other one, which was very risky for Earth soldiers.
But the other one could kill innocent Belters, right?
That's true.
And typically within, military protocol and procedures is like you are very cautious of innocence, you will put your life at risk if it's going to save innocent lives.
And yet I've watched a lot of stuff about the war in the Gulf, in like Iraq and stuff. They were dropping bombs on houses full of women and kids because like somebody reported a mortar shot had come from there. I mean, if you watch Generation Kill, there, somebody reports that mortars have been fired from a compound. The Marines go there, put eyes on that compound and go, oh no, they're not here. It's women and kids. They must have fired from here and they've already displaced. And somebody still has an F-18 drop a bomb on that house and blow it up.
The thing is does it always happen? No, but that is the principle.
Yeah.
That is
I think it is the stated principle.
That is the
yes.
Yeah, so that is the stated principle.
Yeah.
That is the U.S. point of view. So let's say that even if she was ill-motivated, she followed that principle. And so if you follow that principle, is that enough to warrant a resignation?
I think what McCourt is reacting to is that he doesn't believe that was her motivation at all. That he doesn't believe that innocent lives or any of that stuff was her motivation. He believes that she was using the military to get herself elected, to give herself a big win, which would move the election in her favor, and he can't support that. That's what he believes.
But she didn't know. I mean, obviously, it wasn't like she knew that these UN Marines were going to die. This was a trap, and that she didn't know. She thought that she was going in to capture Marco. And yes, it would have been great for her career, but it also would have been really great for Earth.
And yet, we have examples from our own history of poorly thought out and poorly... Because the other thing, too, is that she's in a rush to make a decision. That's the other thing that's happening, right? They're saying, hey, Marco's on this ship. If we don't do something right now, we could lose him. So she's rushing to make a decision. There have been times in our own history where political leaders rushed to use the military for, the famous one is Jimmy Carter sending the troops in to rescue the hostages in Iran and the complete failure that mission turned out to be. Multiple military people resigned over that.
Yeah, but then there's also example of the successes with Obama going in for
right.
Bin Laden,
I'm saying having military people resign over those sorts of failures is not uncommon. That has happened before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was people that have resigned over the withdrawal of Afghanistan, the way that it was. But my question is, though, let's say that she did send them in and it wasn't a trap and she captured Marco and it was a successful mission. Would he resign at that point?
I don't know.
Because what tipped him off to her motivations at the end? I mean, I think either he knew her motivations or he didn't. And so, the outcome would be irrelevant if he's following a principled take on this situation.
Well,
and so if he's basically saying you're politically motivated and you put my Marines at risk, but at the end of the day, if she was purely motivated and she's like, we should go in and try to capture Marco and get the information that he has, which will benefit the Earth in the future, then he shouldn't have an issue with that because that's his job.
Well, and all of those people who resigned after the Jimmy Carter Iran hostage thing wouldn't have resigned if it had worked and they'd rescued all the hostages. So that
correctly. So I have an issue because the issue that I have with is if he sensed what her motivations were ahead of time, then he should have done his resignations before or had his issue happen before they sent these troops in.
But that is a story that is repeated over and over and over in history.
But you can't come back in hindsight and be like, you know what, you weren't motivated
and yet,
in the right way.
And yet people do that all the time.
I know. I'm not saying from a plot point I have an issue with it. I'm saying from a personal, as McCord is a real person, which we've seen in the past of these things doing.
Yeah, and my only answer to that is that has happened over and over and over again in history.
Right.
Yeah.
So Avasarala gives one hell of a speech. It was fucking moving. And again, like it's these going back and just really recognizing what everybody has been recognizing all along, how fucking good Sheree is. And she's great in this speech, and it's really moving and it's really powerful, which made me start thinking of other moving and special speeches. And some of my favorite like emotional speeches in movies, and I wanna say them, and I think you should give a few lines from each speech.
I should give a few lines.
Get us emotion. You should give a few lines. So some of my favorite speeches in movies is Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption when he talks about he misses his friend.
Yeah. See, that's not the speech I would pick though from Shawshank. The speech I would pick from Shawshank is his last meeting with the parole board.
But that's not sad. That's like I don't give a fuck anymore.
It's resigned and angry and
I don't think he's angry. That's the great thing about that speech.
No,
the great thing about that speech is he's beyond caring.
No, he doesn't.
And he's basically saying he goes, I know this is song and dance. I know this is bullshit. You're asking me, do I regret it? Yeah, every day I look in the I look at that young face and I would say,
you're misreading this.
I would talk to him.
You're thinking I'm talking about he's angry at them. He's not. He's angry at himself. It is that entire speech is a self-examination where he goes through how he feels about who he is and the choices he's made and where he's wound up. And it's sad and it's angry and it's resigned. It's all of those things at the same time. The person he's talking to is irrelevant. It's all about him, and he's talking to himself through the whole thing. And I think it is the best speech well,
listen, I think it's one of the greatest speeches of all time, so I think it's worth us discussing. I see that speech as him going back and saying all the emotions. I think he used to be angry at stuff. I think he used to live in those things, and I think he's beyond that now. He's like, what do you want me to say? He's like, if I would go back, this is what I would do. This is how I feel. I've lived this in my head for years and years and years. But I'm over this now. I've accepted who I am. I've accepted my fate. So sign your little papers. Do what you want to do, because honestly, I don't give a fuck. And that's the power, that power that he has of being over that, it's the power of true acceptance. And he makes that true acceptance, and that's what makes that speech so effective. And that's what resonated with me, is like the power of acceptance. And then he ends up going free. The next speech that really moved me, it's amazing, Molly. The love you feel inside, you take it with you.
Wow. Look,
Ghost.
You know I'm a Swayze man. I'm a Swayze man as much as anybody.
I'm crazy for Swayze, baby.
If there's no Swayze, there's no Wazy.
Swayze, no Wazy.
But my wife and I went and watched Ghost when it first came out. Every married couple in America went and saw Ghost when it first came out.
Yeah.
The second time I watched it, which was on like DVD or something, I fucking hated that movie. Like I watched it, I was like, oh, that was pretty good. The second time I watched it, I'm like, this movie's terrible. Why did we all think this was good? I hate that movie.
Because of you got swept up in the emotion and you kind of looked over the clunkiness of it.
Yeah.
But but there's great moments in that. I think it's a very sweet movie and I love it to death. John Coffey in The Green Mile. I'm tired and I'm done. At the end, when he decides that he wants to die, and when they know he's not the killer, and he's like, "I'm over it." That was really sad.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple, when she has that speech with Danny Glover, and then Danny Glover, that is such a powerful moment in the end when he gives her all his money, basically, and he tries to say he was sorry for everything that she's been through. But that speech that she gives, it was so invigorating to me because she's taken her power back, right? And then he goes to slap her, and she's not scared anymore. And she's like, everything you do to me will come on to you, and everything. It was a great, great speech.
Yeah.
River Phoenix in the Milk Money story, and then when he's telling and goddamn, how far ahead of its time was River Phoenix to do that level of work at that age?
I mean, clearly he was just incredibly gifted natural talent. And here's the tragedy of those great young actors is I think acting is a job that if you don't have a really clear sense of yourself and who you are before you go into that job, it can be a very difficult job to navigate and keep your soul. And so many of those brilliant young actors were not able to navigate it because of that, I think. I think going into acting the way you did, which was you'd already been in the Navy for a couple of years, you had some idea what and who you were. That's the way to do it. When you go in as young as he went in, you know, your whole job is to become another person for a stretch of time. You're surrounded by the Hollywood lifestyle. You have no sense of self. And I feel really bad because I think he was genuinely an amazing talent, and I wish we'd gotten more out of him.
And a lot of that talent particularly comes from heightened sensitivity.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you feel things so intensely and deeply, and Hollywood's a drug, and that kind of attention, that kind of fame, and you're feeling that so intensely, you get those high highs and those high lows.
Well, and you also wind up in a place where you need to deaden that intensity. You can't live like that 24 hours a day. It'll kill you. So you wind up with a lot of those people who have that talent and can do what you're talking about, which is really intensely feel these emotions around them. They wind up on booze or drugs because they need to deaden it. They need some time where they're not doing that.
One way, if you go, like right now, even if you're having this conversation, you go on YouTube and you YouTube that speech about the milk money when he's telling the kid or whatever. I have kids. I have little boys. And it is so authentic. He's having a real experience. And you know it because everything that you were thinking about or doing before goes away and you're emotionally attuned in. Because he's having an honest experience on camera. A lot of people say, you know, they talk about acting and they say, you're a good liar because you're an actor. The reality is good acting is telling the truth. It's not lying. It's telling the truth within imagined circumstances. Yep. And to have the level of sensitivity and the emotional understanding of the situation to be able to convince yourself you're within those circumstances to have real life experiences that then move other people.
And that's why I think if an actor doesn't have a very strong sense of who they are, a sense of themselves, you can get swept up in that. You can get lost in it.
Fuck yeah. John Candy in Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. This one gets me every time. I like me. My customers like me. My wife likes me.
If you don't get a little misty-eyed at that scene, you do not have a soul. You
live on planet Ty.
Yeah.
If you don't get moved by that, you do not play. And it's so unexpected. You know, you're watching that, you're laughing your ass off and everything. And that's the beauty of that movie is it has a heart at the center of it. And when he's like, I like me, my customers like me, my wife likes me, it fucking gets me.
Yeah. And he's right. Now, we love Steve Martin. Like, Steve Martin's one of America's sweethearts for a reason. We all love him. And so even when he's being mean in that movie, we still kind of love him anyway. And we kind of like side with him. That moment is so earned because at that moment you realize you've been siding with Steve Martin the whole time and you're a dick too. And that's part of it. It's like John Candy is saying to everyone in the audience, if you like the way this guy has been treating me, maybe you should take a look at yourself because you're kind of an asshole.
That is such a good way to put it because that's exactly what you feel. And that's where the emotion comes from. I mean, John Hughes, man, he has moments of just because a lot of his work is light in tone. But it's really sophisticated. He's a really good writer.
He was a good writer.
So they say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But I would say in this situation, the one-eyed man is everybody's nursemaid because Holden is running around taking care of everybody. And then, speaking of Planet Ty, I always like to think about what would Ty do in this situation. And I have a feeling that we would all be fucked. If Ty was the one that could see and everybody else was blind, and there was slugs and shit, he would already been climbed out of that cave and been back on the Rossi. And Dom would have been like, how is everybody? And like, they're dead. They're all dead. Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here.
There's poisonous slugs down there, but you don't want to go down there. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing too is, they realize I've never rooted for somebody to have cancer, but they find out because of the meds that Holden was on because he has cancer is the thing that's keeping him alive. But in order to find that out, they had to do a Clockwork Orange situation of sticking a needle in his eye.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, how many people are just going to be fucked? Because Holden's a unique guy, but how many people, like if they're like, Ty, if you stick a needle in your eye and then we can start to get you'd be like, yeah, sorry, I think just not going to do that.
So after that episode came out, I know one of the most consistent comments that I saw sort of online as people were reacting to the episode was, if I have to jab a needle in my eye to save everybody else, you guys are all fucked. People said, like, so many people said that. Like, and I'm not talking people like me who are like known grouches and hermits. Yeah. I'm talking like actual real people with like kids
like
and
Barack
stuff.
Obama tweeted that.
Like nice moms with 3 kids and like, you know, they're going, yeah, if my family's all going to die if I don't stab a needle in my eye, I have to get a new family.
They're fucked.
Yep.
Now here's the thing. If it's like, hey, you know, your kids or my wife or good friends, I'm doing it. I'm sticking my eye. But if it's like it's an acquaintance or he's a friend, but we're not like that close, I might have to weigh the options of them dying.
Okay. So for me, the level is this a person, if they came and asked me for a loan of $100,000, I would consider doing it. If you're not at the $100,000 loan level, that needle's not going in my eye. like you.
So wait, so you're telling me everybody in your family's just fucked?
Except for Janae.
Except your wife.
Yeah, Janae's okay.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
In the world, how long is that list, Ty? $100,000 in the world. How long is that list?
Okay, it's a pretty short list, Clint.
It's a party of one.
It's a pretty short list. I mean, there are people who are on that list. It's a pretty small list. Like I am not without friends. I have friends, and there are some friends I have that if they came to me and said, I'm destitute, I need to borrow $100,000, I would do what I had to do to scrape together enough money to help them. But it's a short list.
I think Dr. Shank would.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Dr. Shank could buy and sell all of our asses.
No, but we're not. That's not the thing we're talking about. But I think if Dr. Shank needed it, you would do that.
I tell him to sell his like $5 million Beverly Hills house first.
So forget about the money that he has. If Dr. Shank was in need, you would definitely help him.
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably.
I hope he watches this. You know he's a big fan of the show. Did you know that, Ty?
Dr. Shank?
He loves it. He loves the show.
He is the show's biggest critic. He never shuts up about all the things the show does wrong. Like, never shuts up.
The Ty and That Guy show?
Yeah.
He doesn't watch it. He never watches it. How can he point out what's wrong? But do you remember when I said say goodbye, Ty, and you said say goodbye, and he just like was so horrified, like, you know, about the things that we do. So, you know, I don't know if I talked about this on the air, if we talked about it before, but I think, and if I did, stop me from saying it again. But I think that I was struck with how important of an episode this was for Amos from the audience's perspective.
Yep.
Because you created the character, and then working on the character for so many years that I know all this stuff internally. I know his past. I know what it is. So this arc is organic in the performance, but I didn't realize how much was revealed in this episode from the audience's point of view. And it was the first time where you saw a chink in his psyche, and you saw like how he's in the borderland of sanity and unsanity, you know, insanity. And you didn't write this, did you?
No.
This episode? Okay, good, because I'm about to compliment the writing. But
no, this is Dan.
Dan Nowak. But I think it's just so smart when he's talking to Wei and he's having a moment of vulnerability, and he says just a sentence, like, 3 or 4 words, and he doesn't over talk about, there's no exposition within it. He just says, when it was dark, that's when they came in. And within that whole thing, you get the whole world and his whole childhood, and it's such a powerful moment.
Yep.
Really powerfully acted. But I just think
powerfully acted.
But I just think, and then you see him fall apart from Holden, and Holden being there for him, and then you really understand what's coming in next episode and how important this relationship is and how close that these two people are and what they've been through.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful and subtle. It's not subtle in how but the relationship between them, the subtle growth over the years. It's really smart, very well done.
So one of the things that I've realized as I've gotten older is if you have missing figures in your life, like people who grew up without a mother, grew up without a father, grew up, like important developmental figures that they just don't have, that they're missing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people react to that by recreating that in the aggregate. So like I have a friend, his father was a terrible person when he was really young and then left. And it's actually good that he left because he was such an awful person. But so this guy grew up without a father. Like I think he's always envied people who had fathers. Like that's a thing for him. And what's been interesting knowing him as well as I do is watching him recreate a father figure like in the aggregate. Like he'll latch on to this older guy for this reason, and he'll latch on to this other older guy for this reason, he'll latch on to this other older guy for this reason. And together they form sort of like this parental figure for him, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's consciously doing it, but it's pretty clear that's what he's doing. And I think Amos is creating his ideal self in the aggregate.
Mm-hmm.
So he latches on to people like Anna and Prax because they are kind. And Amos admires kindness and he wants to be kind. So he finds kind people, right? And then he latches on to Naomi because she's thoughtful and logical. And he wants to be thoughtful. He wants to be a person who thinks through things and makes good decisions, right? And I think what we see here is Amos is starting to latch on to Holden because Holden is righteous. And in the second season, we hear Amos say to Miller, Holden is righteous. And you see Amos sort of latching on to that because Holden is that like noble ideal, like we call him the holy fool, but like that paladin character, that guy who wants to change the world through the force of his convictions, no matter how foolish that is. And Amos sees that, and I think Holden becomes part of the aggregate for Amos of the ideal person Amos would like to be. So he's got his kind people, he's got his thoughtful people, and he's got his righteous people, and he's putting them together.
That's actually a brilliant note. Why did you wait till after the series to give me that note? That could have been helpful.
I felt like it was probably a more sophisticated note than your craft level was capable of using. So I kept it simple. Like when we would talk, I would give you the simpler notes, like don't look into the lens. There's a little tape X on the floor. Yeah. Make sure you walk to that X.
Hit that X, Don't the microphone above. That's not in the scene. You can't grab.
Don't grab that and pull that down so that you can talk into it
and chew on it.
Oh my God!
You can't chew on. Stop chewing on the microphone, Amos.
We probably have 30 hours.
Stop masturbating during the scene.
No, we were never able to stop you from doing that, though. I mean, we taught our camera people to frame it out, but
so if you're watching some scenes,
you know what's happening. But we probably have 30 hours of B-roll. That is stuff that's cut just because you reach down and grab the mic and start talking into it. Yeah,
start chewing on it. Is your friend without a father? Is he in the $100,000 club?
No, because he's also a bit of a knucklehead and probably got himself in this situation and would immediately blow all my hard-earned money on something stupid. Like I have friends that I love dearly that I fully recognize are some of the stupidest people I've ever met and just make consistently the same terrible decisions over and over and over again. And you just got to kind of accept that and go like, well, that's him. He's just a knucklehead. He's just going to do that.
Do you do a podcast with one of those friends?
No, unfortunately, because they would be really interesting.
What I love is that you establish that part of it is that they're desperate, but it also has to be a loan. Their ability to repay it is conditional.
Exactly. I love that. That's a good point.
Hey man, I'm not a wealthy man. I can't just be throwing money around. This is my wife's retirement fund we're talking about here.
We got to talk about the return of Fred Johnson in this episode with his great. He fucking walks in. He's got sweat. He looks great when he comes here. He fucking walks. He's like, I'm here, bitches. And then Drummer has that great moment of pushing Ashford out of the way and fucking hitting him in the mouth. Do you want to explain why she hits him in the mouth?
Well, because she feels like he betrayed the belt. She gave him information that she thought he would use to help the belt. And what she feels like is what he did is immediately turn around and give that information to Earth. And then Earth used it to kill a bunch of belters. So she's pissed.
But here's the thing. I am with Johnson in this.
Oh, you're always with Johnson.
Argument. I am on top of Johnson in this. Okay, I'm a big fan. I am close to Johnson, and I am on Johnson's side because, and I know we talked about this, and I know her reasons why or whatever, but she could have fucking killed Marco, and I get it. I understand the factions and everything like that, but we don't know that. That outcome is just uncertain as the other outcome. But what we do know is that Marco is dangerous, and we're just beginning to understand the depths of his danger. And even if there was war between the factions, the solar system would be better off without Marco.
Yeah, but there's no way to know that at the moment she made that decision. And we're talking about two different things here. We are talking about her decision with Marco earlier is Belters handling Belter problems and not including the inner planets in it. And that's what Drummer wants. She wants Belters to handle Belter problems and the inners not to be involved. And so by Fred making the decision to give the information to Earth, that's what pisses her off. What pisses her off is like, you included Earth in this. This is a Belter problem. I gave this to you so we could handle this, so Belters could handle this. And instead, you gave it to Earth, and look what happened. Now Earth is involved. Now Earth is blaming us for things. Now they're back up in our shit again. That's the problem. The problem isn't that Belters got killed. The problem is that Belters got killed by Earthers, and that's what pisses her off. That's why she feels is a betrayal. Like, don't involve these outside people in our internal problems.
In honor of that straight right that Drummer smacks Fred Johnson with, we're gonna do the top 5 punches in movie history. Is that how it was phrased? Is that how it's phrased, Joseph? Because Clint, well, you know how he'll be.
Let me see here.
All right. So is this the top 5 punches, or is this single punches? It's not fights.
Best one punches.
Best one punches. Okay.
Yeah, best one punch. It's got to be best one punch. It's got to be
Wes,
best.
I'm going to ask you. You already know what my number 1 is. You already know.
Yeah, I know.
So tell the audience what is in the 0 position here for this list.
Miss McLean knocking the
That's
fuck
right.
out of
Bonnie Bedelia.
Yeah.
Punching.
Yeah, Bonnie Bedelia.
Punching the reporter in the face at the end of Die Hard. Breaking his jaw. Best one
again,
punch.
you know, and I feel like we don't talk enough about Die Hard, but I do think what's the actor's name that got punched in the face?
The guy who plays the shitty guy in like every movie.
Yeah, every Eddie's movie. He's good at that. But it was so well set up, you know, and also too, like he didn't even come in till like later in the movie, like kind of unsurprisingly. But it was so well set up where you're just like, when you were at peak wanting to punch him in the face, she punches him in the face, and it's such a cathartic experience. And so, you know, that's the 0.
Probably my favorite moment in Die Hard 2 is when it is revealed that he got a restraining order on her. because he's scared of her.
Yeah. Ty, do you want to read these? I usually read them.
No, go ahead, man. I did the 0 position one. Go ahead.
All right. Agent Carter punching the mouthy soldier in Captain America. Anna punching the Duke in Frozen. Did Clint put that in? Argyle versus Theo in Die Hard.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Arnold punching a hole in someone's chest in Terminator. I love that one. Arnold punching Bill Paxton in True Lies. That's in there. I fucking love it. Is that in his imagination when he's daydreaming about it?
We backhands him.
Car and he goes, I just wanted to get on my knees and butter for buttermilk. I just want to get on my knees and beg for buttermilk.
She could start a leaf blower. Anyway.
All of our massive fans are probably so tired of our Bill Paxton quotes, but it's so good. Bianca punching Joey, 10 Things I Hate About You. Camel punch and Conan the Barbarian. Great punch. George McFly versus Biff Tannen in Back to the Future. Harriman punching Draco in Harry Potter 3. That's you.
Yeah, that's definitely
Clint.
Clint's addition to the list.
Holly McClane punches
Thornburg.
Thornburg. Yeah, God. Hulk punching Thor. Joe Pesci versus a redneck and My Cousin Vinny. John Goodman's anti-Semite KO in the Big Lebowski. Julia Louise Dreyfus in Christmas Vacation. Les Grossman ordering the key grip to punch.
Oh my
that
God.
was great.
One of my favorite moments
in
ever.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we could put clips in, of just
Joseph can do
You
that.
realize this every time you guys do the list. I do put in B-roll in the clips, right?
Yep. Joseph is going to put in some clips.
Joseph, you're so good at your fucking job, buddy.
You know it.
Lois Lane punches Ursa in Superman 2. McLovin, Superbad. Brad Pitt's knockout punch.
Oh
Snatch.
my God, I love that movie, and that is a great punch.
That's a great punch, and it's a great story. Like it's a great story to the fight. And you talk about fight consistency, Ty. We talk about it all the time. That movie has it. Mongo versus a horse in Blazing Saddles. Ned gets punched on Groundhog Day. Ned? Needle nose Ned? Deadhead Ned?
Ned the Head.
Ned the Head?
Got shingles real bad. Missed all of senior year.
Nicholas Angel punching the old farmer guy in Hot Fuzz. Russian. Kevin Nash punching Frank Castle. Thomas Jane in The Punisher. Sidney Prescott punches out Gail Weathers in Scream. Stephen Hiller, Will Smith punches the alien on Independence Day. Is that the list?
Yeah.
Is that everything?
That's the pool, yeah.
Well, I got some.
I got to.
Oh, go ahead, Clint.
Not a movie I completely vouch for, but a great scene. A movie called The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis, where he's being tortured. Says, "Touch me again, I'll kill you."
Yep.
Then he just punches the guy once and kills him.
Yep. I know
It's a
exactly.
one punch, one
I know
kill.
exactly the scene you're talking about.
You know what? That is a great punch, and that's a great scene, and I think that triggered the whole thing. You remember in the 90s when you were in high school and you'd be like, if you punch a guy,
Which, by the way, is complete bullshit.
Push his
It's
nose into his
complete
brain.
bullshit. Yeah, push your nose in the brain and it'll kill the guy, and that's where I think that misconception started from that movie. Now, does that count because they're beating the shit out of Bruce Willis?
It's a punch
The whole time.
It's that he telegraphs it. He says, touch me again, I'll kill you. Then punches him one time and he dies. It's textbook.
I don't like that movie because I don't like that they killed Halle Berry.
Agreed.
Because you're a good man, Ty.
Because
I like that movie.
I think every movie that has Halle Berry in it, she should win and she should be happy, and she should always succeed and then come to my house.
Is she in the $100,000 club?
Yes,
Okay.
without question.
Call
me Halle. I got $100,000 for you.
What are some of the ones that you felt that we missed?
That is a pretty good list. I mean, I knew Holly punching Thornburg would be top of the list because it's great. All the ones that I like are the weird ones. Like, I love that somebody put Conan punching the camel. That would be in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah,
like,
I love him
that
punching
moment.
the camel.
Because I love how they're all stoned. Black Lotus, Stygian, the best.
Yeah.
I would sell Haga to a slayer such as you. By the way, the guy who sells Black Lotus to them is Ron Cobb, the production designer, the concept artist for Conan, and also the concept artist for a great many fantasy and sci-fi movies. That's Ron Cobb's, I think it's his only on-screen acting appearance.
Does anything ever hurt you? Only pain.
That's Conan 2.
Red Sonja, right?
No. That's isn't that the second Conan? I think it's the second Conan. It's Conan the Destroyer.
But it's with the girl, right?
Yeah, it's the blonde girl. It's not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Conan the Destroyer, which I do not like. I hate Conan the Destroyer. Conan the Barbarian is one of my favorite movies. Conan the Destroyer is terrible.
Man, I know there's some in there. I wish I would have thought this through ahead of time.
There's a lesser known movie with a great one punch. What Happens in Vegas? The Junk Punch. If you've seen it, you would know it.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I think the punch in Perfect World with Kevin Costner and Clint Eastwood when they shoot Kevin Costner at the end and Clint Eastwood turns around, punches that guy. That's a great punch. Okay, so let's rate these. So 0 positions, Die Hard.
Yeah.
Conan is definitely on the list, on the top 5.
The ones that we have forgotten. Charles Bronson in Hard Times, the very first fight in Hard Times, where he just walks out and drops the guy.
Oh God, that's my favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
we got to put that one in
Yeah,
there.
where he just like it sets it up like it's going to be this bare knuckle boxing match. He just walks out and just drops him.
And what I love is he doesn't warm up. He's
Yep.
sitting there, the guy's warming up and doing stuff. He takes his shirt off, goes, wow! And it's kind of that snatch situation, you know?
Yeah,
Do boxing movies count?
Yeah.
if it's
One punch.
There is a movie with Lou Gossett Jr. called Diggstown.
Oh
yeah.
I love
remember
Diggstown.
Lou Gossett Jr. does some one punch knockouts in Diggstown. That's
Yep.
great.
What about
That's right.
that movie when Peter Berg gets knocked out by that guy at the end called The Great White Hope? Yeah. I think that Schwarzenegger should be I don't know if I want to put Schwarzenegger twice on the list, but when Conan punches that guy through the chest, I thought that was
No,
really
that's
awesome.
Terminator. Conan punches a camel.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When Terminator punches the guy
Yeah.
through the chest, I think that's pretty awesome.
That is a pretty great punch.
Conan, Charles Bronson, Brad Pitt, and Snatch.
Yeah, I really that scene, that first fighting scene with Mickey in Snatch, where it's set up and they've got the big bare knuckle boxer that they brought with them to threaten the. I don't want to use the term they use in the movie because I'm pretty sure it's a racial pejorative or something. But the Brad Pitt's group of guys that brought the big guy to threaten him, and that scene where they climb in the ring together and Brad Pitt's stretching and he's taking his shirt off and the dude's just sucker punching him and he just bounces back to his feet and goes right back to. It's so well set up. It's one of the best moments in that movie.
Yeah, so good. So well.
Also,
Okay,
do not get in a fight with an Irish gypsy bare knuckle boxing champion. Don't get in a fight with that guy.
Joe Pesci versus Redneck. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in My Cousin Vinny. There's a scene where he's in a bar and playing pool, and there's like a big redneck in there that keeps like trying to intimidate him. And Joe Pesci says, "I'll fight you, but if I win, you have to pay me $200." And the guy doesn't have $200 on him. So Joe Pesci keeps saying, "When you show up with $200, you and I can fight." and then it's a running thing through the movie where the guy keeps trying to trick him to make him think he has $200, but he like at one point he has like a 20 wrapped around some ones, trying to pretend like it's $200. But finally he shows up, like it's like 3/4 of the way through the movie. He shows up, fans the money out. He's got the $200. And as soon as he does that, Joe Pesci just launches this huge uppercut and like knocks him out, and then bends down, picks up the money, and walks away.
That's great. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus in Christmas Vacation. That's a great one. With the yuppie guy next door, the yuppie couple, when she punches him. That's a great one. Can that make the list?
I'm easy. Yeah, I mean, it's as long as my my Snatch and my Conan make the list, I'm okay.
What is one I don't remember? Oh, McLovin. What was that one?
He was at the liquor store, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, he gets clocked by a robber.
That's a good one. I would put that in the same class as like the one in Hangover where Mike Tyson punches. The dude.
Yeah.
But I would say
awesome.
the third one that I would really want to make this list is the scene in Tropic Thunder where the producer has the key grip, go and punch the director.
So we got Conan, Charles Bronson, Brad Pitt in Snatch, Julia Louis-Dreyfus in Christmas Vacation, Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder, and our zero position as always. Well, that was a good time. It's good to see you again, Ty. And we got a very special guest in the next one, so I'm looking forward to that one, and hopefully we'll get that one done.
I'm
soon.
excited to. And by the way, Joseph and Clint, how come like Joanne Hansen has just sort of fallen off our radar? What's going on with that? Are we still trying to get her?
I will get that done.
Thank you, sir.
You should ask yourself that. Are you guys even friends anymore?
I don't think we are. I think she's so disappointed in Wes and I that she won't talk to us now.
Or you did did you do anything on the producer end to piss her off before the show was over?
I was always as nice to Joanne as I could possibly be. One time she loaned me a coat because I was cold and I didn't have a coat. She loaned me a coat. The next day I brought her an expensive bottle of whiskey.
That might have been an over.
I am a huge Joanne fan. Joanne gets nothing but praise and gifts from me.
Joanne is in the $100,000 club for sure.
Joanne doesn't need my $100,000. Joanne can buy and sell my ass.
Ty, you're missing the point of the hypothetical. All right, this is people that you would. It's really a measurement of where they are in your friendship circle and people that you would, if they were in need, loan the money to.
See, for you and I, Wes, that's what it is. Ty is immediately going loan shark. He's like, who's a good investment?
He's going conditional. He's the one who created the premise. And now he's like, I don't know if that guy can. I don't know if he's likely to pay me back. So I don't know.
Hey,
that guy's a knucklehead.
What's the VIG on your charity?
Look,
he's running the juice.
I am not punitive with the VIG. Like, it's 2 points standard. I'm not going crazy with it. You know, any payments you don't miss get tacked onto the principal, but that's the usual system.
Ty knows that if you kill him, they can't pay, so he only hurts you a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
so what you're saying is being on Ty's $100,000 list isn't as special as I initially thought it was.
It's actually quite dangerous.
It's actually quite
Look,
dangerous.
I'm not going to hurt you. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bust out your business.
but he does give Janae a discount. He gives her 1% instead of standard 2.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah.
Any interest I've charged Janae right now, I'm just paying myself with my own money.
Right.
Hey, before we get out, Wes, do you want to read the patrons' top 5?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, the patrons' top 5. Mongo versus a horse in blazing saddles. Oh, I did miss this one. This could have been top 5. George McFly versus Biff Tannen, Back to the Future. And what makes that punch so great is it's a completion of George McFly's arc. It's a demonstration of him, taking agency and power over his life. Holly McClane punches Thornburg and Die Hard. They know us well.
Yep.
Joe Pesci versus a redneck, My Cousin Vinny, and Arnold punching a hole in someone's chest. So there's 2 on the list. We should keep track of the most accurate one, because this is, we got 2. Say goodbye, Ty.
Get the fuck out of here, Ty.
That's Dr. Shank's least favorite thing that we do on this show that we think is so clever. Goodbye, guys.